When The Outer Worlds was released, I was hype! I mean, come on, New Vegas in space, but instead of being a sad, colorless, wastelandy thing, it's a colorful space opera set in the dieselpunk universe. And then I watched a rapid-fire pew-pew interview.
Can I beat this game without killing anybody?
We hope so.
We're not certain.
Well, let's find out. Let's try and answer the question. Can you beat The Outer Worlds as a pacifist on Supernova? In character creation I put 3 points each in charm and temperament to make our boy Galaxy Brain level intellect, and for his preferred skill I went for dialogue and leadership. The latter turned out to be a big oof and a waste of skill points, and you'll see why later. Finally, for the aptitude I went with cashier and its +1 to perception, and then I created our leading man, the dashing green-haired rogue Grando with a stupid mustache. And then the game begins, and we are rudely awoken by some creeper and then dumped on a planet right on top of this very nice man. The objective now is to get to Nice Man's ships and blast off into space and help old Creeper Man. But here we encounter the first obstacle. In our way are marauders with weapons, and our arms are unfortunately made out of spaghetti and completely useless in combat. However, I quickly discovered the game's sprint button, and then I just sprinted past them and then convinced some mercenaries to attack the ones guarding the ship, and then I just ran past them and into the ship, and then I went into space. Or not. The ship needs the things to work, and that thing is in the next town over. The man who runs the town agrees to give me the thing if I go to a factory out in the wilderness and steal the power that some hobos are using and divert it to his town. I teamed up with a companion and then we set off to divert the power. Getting into the factory was no big deal, I just sprinted past the guards outside. They don't follow you inside, so if you can get to the door you're pretty much good to go. However, inside I needed to flip 3 switches, and it's there that I realized that I fucked up when I put points into leadership and not sneak. See, my companion died almost instantly, and because I couldn't sneak my way through, I had to run around in fucking circles dodging enemies while looking for hiding places to wait out their alarms, and it sucked, but after 30 minutes I managed to divert the power, tell the plant hobos to go suck it, asked the guy in town to give the lead hobo his job, to which he agreed because I'm that fucking charming, leveled up sneak, and finally blasted off into space. On the Groundburger space station I met up with Gladys, a woman who will sell me a nav key. That's a thing you use to go to different planets. However, before she will sell it to me I need to go to a shitty planet and steal some trade secrets. I agree, and then I set off. I first did attempt to loot some schematics from a factory, but it was heavily guarded and my sneak wasn't quite up to snuff yet. Fortunately there was a second option, a hostage situation, which given my skill set obviously went a lot better. Some marauders were held up in a factory and some corporate forces had them cornered. I convinced the corporation to let me go talk to the marauder leader. Then I convinced her to betray all her friends, let some lizards out of their cages to kill the marauders, and then finally I convinced the corporation to leave and not arrest the marauder leader. Like an idiot, I didn't check my wallet and I went back to Gladys 900 bits short, so I had to go back to the planet where I came from, finish up some small side quests, looted some stuff, and re-returned to Gladys to pick up the nav key so I could go to Monarch and meet with the information broker to get a thing that I needed. On the Monarch I picked up a guide to take me to the broker's fortress thingy, agreed to do her companion mission and look for her lost friends, got her killed, got myself killed a couple of times, and made my way to the broker's fortress tower. The tower was besieged by marauders, because of course it was. However, I managed to convince some mercenaries to charge them, and so they did. This is also the point where a nagging feeling that I had in the back of my mind came to the forefront of my mind, as I realized that while the game is probably pretty straightforward to pacifist on regular difficulty, it is not on Supernova. During this bit of the game, along with a few other story bits later on, I will be completely at the mercy of RNGesus. See, on Supernova every NPC in the game seems to be roughly at the same level as each other, meaning that they can take each other out fairly easily with only a shot or two. This means that when a single character allied to me charges a position with 12 marauders, then there's a pretty good chance that that allied NPC is gonna fucking die. A lot. And the mercs that I convinced to charge the broker's fortress did that. A lot. Which in turn meant that I had to try some creative shit to get past the obstacle at hand, which resulted in my death and me having to backtrack the same bit of game over and over. Cause Supernova is stingy with its save system. However, during one of the more successful assaults, the mercs managed to take down every fucking marauder except the one guarding the door to the broker. While this sucked, it did allow me to look through the place to find another solution, and I discovered that the facility had a fire suppression system, and then I lured the remaining dude bro into a room where I knew he would get choked, and then I obscured his airways like he was an 18-year-old farm girl from Montana on her first casting couch, and I choked that bitch. Meeting up with the broker, he informed me that I had to help him get the planet's 2 warring factions to get off the fuck off his Wi-Fi before he could help me, and so I did that. First on my list were the Iconoclasts. I convinced the idiot leader that print media was superior to interstellar radio in the year 2300, and I went to go clear out the printing press for him. Unfortunately, on my way there, my legs got crippled and I spent a whole fucking hour trying to figure out what item healed crippled legs, and in the process I got addicted to 5 drugs that I will have to keep taking the rest of this playthrough to avoid suffering a stat penalty because of withdrawal. And the kicker of it all, the way to heal crippled limbs suffered through mutated animal bites in this game's version of survival mode: just sleep in a bed. Yeah, I was not amused, and I took my revenge by entering the printing press that a bunch of lizard dogs were squatting in, and I set off the alarm that tricked them all into running into the line of fire of some iconoclast machine guns. Die in oblivion, you fucking hell beasts. With the printing press up and running, the iconoclasts had been appeased, and it was on to get the MSI, the remnants of an evil corporation, to seize their broadcast as well. I kinda expected having to fuck them over since I was nice to their rival faction, but then I remembered that this is a good game, and not a Bethesda game. Which means that the world isn't black and white, so I can be friends with both the iconoclasts and the MSI at the same time. Or at least pretend so for the moment. Which is great, because the MSI leader said my catchphrase.
How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins?
And now, my loins are that, and there is no way that I can kill this man. While helping the MSI, I found out something that I wish that I had known 6 hours ago when I started the game. The lizard dogs cannot open doors I close because they have no arms, and that would have been useful to know. I used this tactic to run up to a group of lizard dogs, steal shit from the corpse they were eating, and then run off. And the clue on the corpse led me to a research station that was overrun by marauders. I died a bunch of times here, but then I found a terminal that I couldn't hack. Then I died a couple of more times before it occurred to me that drugs solve everything. So I took a bunch of them to strengthen my galaxy level brain and hacked a terminal that made an alarm go blam blam, which chased off the dumb marauders, letting me into the facility, which allowed me to search it undisturbed and get the thing I needed to do for the MSI. After wrapping up my business with the MSI and getting them to turn off their signal, I made my way back to the radio station. And here I learned something that would come in handy later. When I leg it through a facility and don't kill any of the people there, they are still gonna be there when I go back. Like in this instance where the radio station is still overrun by marauders. Meaning that I actually had to re-sneak my way back to the broker. After redoing that bit of excitement, I met up with the broker. We probably set up the interstellar Wi-Fi signal to reach the motherfucking stars and accidentally tricked a ship into coming too close to the planet's orbit and getting gunned down by some defense system. However, this wasn't actually a bad thing. The ship, being a corporation ship, has a nav key to get to Byzantium, the capital of the Halcyon system. So I rushed my butt over there, grabbed the key, ignored the factions I was supposed to get help from to do the next bit in return for the key, and fucked off the poverty rock of Monarch and made my way to New Vegas, Byzantium, where the High Rollers live. I need to confront a minister about some chemical he used for human experimentation, so I got one of his guards so drunk that he fucking died, and then I took his keys. I then attempted to sneak my way through the back entrance of the minister's mansion several times before I just went fuck it and charged the front door, which worked on the first try, and then I confronted the minister. The minister told me that the chairman is actually the one in charge and that I need to go to his office and use his terminal to contact Earth so they can make him not be in charge and not be bad at it, and so I go do that. The minister said some crap about using some tunnels to get into the Acropolis where the terminal is, but since I haven't used weapons and have just sold them off to vendors, I had all the money that I needed to just bribe my way through the guards. Inside, they threatened to take my guns, the fools. But I yelled at them and then they just didn't. Upstairs, I snuck my way into the chairman's office, completely undetected, and sent the transmission to Earth. And then I started to make my way to the facility where the chemicals are being held that crazy science creeper needs to resurrect my much smarter brothers and sisters on the hibernating colony ship. And then I just died walking through a building, and I have no idea why. But when I tried again, I got the opportunity to just talk my way through, and I did that. I then attempted to stealth my way through the lab, and I died. A lot. On any other difficulty, I'm sure that I could have made it, but the thing about the NPCs being on equal footing made the unarmed escape subjects that I released not very effective, to say the least. Like, I'm sure my character could have done more damage to the guards if they shot him while he was standing too close to an explosive barrel. At this point, I was beginning to fear that the run wouldn't be possible, but then I remembered all the other times that I had thought that. And then I remembered that all those times I usually managed to find a thing that solved all of my problems. And in the storage log, I found a holographic shroud, which is the thing that I probably should have made it a point to get a very long time ago, but here we are. With the shroud, I easily made my way through the facility, and passing the speech check wasn't much of an issue, since I was about maxed out at this point, and constantly under the influence of stat boosting drugs and alcohol to fuel my crippling addiction. I made it to the lab where the chemicals were, killed a bunch of test subjects by flicking a button, and got the wakey juice I needed to bring back my hibernating buddies. Speaking of which, next I made my way to the hibernation ship, and with the Shroud, I just strolled through all of the guards and just skip-drive the ship to Crazy Science Creeper's lab. But unfortunately, while I did that, the corporation attacked the lab, kidnapped Crazy Science Creeper and took him to a prison. And I, of course being the big dick hero man that I am, followed him. And it went exactly like the lab and the hibernation ship did. I just strolled my way through the entire facility without a problem. I then confronted the chairman and bullied him into working with me to restore the colony, and then I went to confront the true bad guy and got forced into a boss fight, and then I killed myself. And tried once again to confront the true bad guy, and once again got forced into a boss fight. By this point I got a little frustrated, so I attempted to use my spaghetti arms to kill the boss with guns, but I failed miserably. Feeling like I was out of options, but also not willing to let myself give up, I got myself killed again, and then I went to confront the true bad guy once again, and I actually got a little further with the dialogue before again being forced into a boss fight and letting myself get killed again. And then I went to go confront the true bad guy once again and got even further with the dialogue than before once again being forced into a boss fight and letting myself get killed. By this point I was just about to give up, but then I remembered something. And I liquored myself up and took a fuck ton of drugs, and then I went to confront the true bad guy and convinced her that her death machine robot was no match for my mouth. And then she stood down and admitted defeat, and I took over the colony and I won the game, and I proved that you can indeed beat the Outer Worlds as a pacifist on Supernova, and that substance abuse solves everything. But I wouldn't recommend it, because sometimes you just want to blast someone's stupid face to bits with a gun. And the Outer Worlds has a lot of annoying fucking characters that I want to dismember. And I mean that in a good way. They are well written and shit, but infuriating. Which is why my next Outer Worlds video is gonna be, can you beat the Outer Worlds by killing everything? A video in which I try and murder everyone in the game without talking to a single NPC. But until then, bye bye.